Daniel C.H. Chwolson, Daniel Abramovich C.H. Chwolson, or C.H. Chwolson, or K.H. Khvolson, Russian, Daniel Avramovich Abramovich K.H. Khvolson, Hebrew, Denial Abramowitz K.H. BVLSVN, December 3, 1819 OS. November 21, March 23, 1911 OS. March 12 was a Russian Jewish orientalist. Biography. C.H. Chwolson was born in Vilnius, which was then part of the Russian Empire. As he showed marked ability in the study of Hebrew and Talmud, his parents, who were very religious, destined him for the rabbinate and placed him at the yeshiva of Rabbi Israel Gunsberg. Up to his 18th year he did not know any other language than Hebrew, but in 3 years he acquired a fair knowledge of German, French, and Russian. C.H. Chwolson went to Breslau in 1841, and after 3 years' preparation in the classical languages, entered Breslau University, where he devoted himself to the Oriental languages, especially Arabic. There he studied until 1848, and in 1850 he received the degree of Doctor of Philosophy at Leipzig University. On his return to Russia he settled in St. Petersburg, where his son, the physicist Horst K.H. Khvolson, was born in 1852. In 1855, being highly appreciated in learned circles, and having embraced Christianity, he was appointed extraordinary professor of Oriental languages in the university. 3 years later, he received a similar appointment in the Duchovny Academia Theological Academy. In 1856, the Imperial Academy issued, at its own expense, C.H. Chwolson's first work, which established the authority of its author in the field of Oriental research, the 2-volume Die Sabir under Sabismus Sabians and Sabianism. 3 years later C.H. Chwolson published Über die Überreste der altbabylonischen Literatur in arabischen Übersetzungen St. Petersburg, 1859, also in Russian in the Russian Messenger under the title Novokriti Pamyatniki. This work made a great sensation among scholars by the importance of its discoveries and by C.H. Chwolson's theories concerning the old Babylonian monuments. It was followed in 1860 by Über Tamasan die Menschenverehrung bei den alten Babyloniern Ib, 1860. The Learned World in 1899 celebrated C.H. Chwolson's literary jubilee by presenting him with a collection of articles written in his honor by prominent European scholars. This was published by Baron David Gunsberg under the title Recueil des Travaux Rédigés en Mémoire du Jubile Scientifique de M. Daniel C.H. Chwolson, Berlin, 1899. Work against antisemitism. Blood libel accusations had been brought against the Jews of Saratov in 1857, and the government summoned a commission of scholars to see whether any passages could be found in Jewish literature recommending the use of Christian blood for ritual purposes. C.H. Chwolson, who was appointed a member of the commission, wrote a report in which he demonstrated the groundlessness of the accusations in general and pointed out that in the particular case of Saratov the evidence given by the 2 principal witnesses was full of contradictions and absurdities. The investigation extended over a period of 9 years. C.H. Chwolson secured permission to publish his memoir, which appeared in 1861 as O Nekatorik Esrednevekovic Obviniak Protoviv Rave on several medieval accusations against the Jews. In 1877 C.H. Chwolson saw a new blood accusation brought against Jews at Kutaisi, Transcaucasia. At the same time, several Russian anti-Semitic writers undertook a campaign against the Talmud, repeating the old charge that it contained blasphemies against Jesus. C.H. Chwolson again took up the defense of the Jews and republished his memoir with many additions, St. Petersburg, 1880. A German edition of this work appeared in the year 1901 under the title Die Blutanklige Unsonstige Mittelalterliche Beschuldigungen der Juden. In this edition C.H. Chwolson, before entering into a discussion of the blood question, expounds the history of the Talmud, and shows that the Pharisees condemned by Jesus in the Gospels were not the Rabbinites in general, and that it was not the Pharisees, but the Sadducees, who were the enemies and persecutors of Jesus. He further demonstrates that, according to Talmudic law, Jews were bound to look upon Christians as their brethren, the assertions to the contrary being due partly to misconception, partly to hatred. The deep-rooted belief that Jesus was crucified by the Jews being the principal cause of the prejudice against them on the part of the Christians. Chwolson, in a dissertation entitled Poslednie Paskalne Vetria Isusa Christa, I Denivo Smrti St. Petersburg, 1875, German translation, Das letzte Passamal Christi, 1892. He defended the Jewish people, as well as Judaism. In a work entitled Charakteristika Semitskich Narodov published in the Russian Messenger, 1872 German ed. Berlin, 1872, he draws a parallel between the distinguishing characteristics of the Jew, the representative of the Semitic race, and those of the Greek, the representative of the Aryan peoples, not always to the advantage of the latter. The pamphlet was translated into English under the title The Semitic Nations, Cincinnati, 1874. He also wrote, Statistist Nachrichten über die Orientalist Fakultät der Universität zu St. Petersburg, Leipzig, 1861. Achsein Hebräisch Grabschriften aus der Krim in the Memoirs of the St. Petersburg Academy of Science, 1865. Russian translation, Vosnid Sat Nagribnik Nadpisai is Krima, St. Petersburg, 1866. Izviestia o Kozarak, Bertasak, Madurak, Slavianak, I Rusak, Abu Ali Ahmed Omar Ibn Dasja, Nizvisnego Dosel Arabskego Pisatlia Nachala ex Veka, St. Petersburg, 1869. Novotriti Pamiatnik Movitskovotsarya Meshi, K. Tristiansko Ch. Teni, 1870. Oviliani I Geographiskego Pologenia Palestini, na Sabu Ivrayskego Naroda, I. 1875, reprinted in Esbornik Budishtnosti, Roman 2, 1-4. Thyquescence HVY in der Alphabration Orthography, Leiden, 1878. Russian TR and K. Tristiansko Ch. Teni, St. Petersburg, 1881. A brilliant though erratic study of the matters lectiones in Old Hebrew orthography. Corpus, Inscription of Hebraic Aram, St. Petersburg and Leipzig, 1882. Russian translation, Ib. 1884. Pridvarit Leazameto Nadanik v Semirayachinskoy Oblasti Syriaskik Nagrodnik Nadpisayak, Zapadno Vostochno, Ottolini Imperatorskego Ruskego Archivnego Obchestva, 1886. Sirist Grabshrafenos Semirjechi, Ib. 1890. In the Memoirs of the St. Petersburg Academy. At ease Jemmels urgent einen Grund gegeben, den Rustag des Judischen Passafests als Proton Ezonen zu bezeichnen. In Zeitschrift für Wissenschaftliche Theologie V38. Leipzig, 1896. Starochetnia Evreiskia Nigi, on Hebrew in Conabula, St. Petersburg, 1897. Hebrew Trenzel. Rishit Mays How Diffuse, Warsaw, 1897. Mention may be made here of C.H. Chwolson's early contributions of Jewish biographies from Arabic sources, especially that of Maimonides, to the Orient, 1846. C.H. Chwolson was an indefatigable collector of Hebrew books, and his collection of Hebrew in Conabula was valuable. A catalogue of his Hebrew books was published by him under the title Rishomat Sifrei Yisrael, Vilna, 1897.